All right, folks, the Michael movie is just around the corner, and I found a video that is highlighting some of the things that we need to see in this movie. So, I have not watched this video yet. You're going to get my live reaction to it, and we will see if we agree with what this channel is saying in regards to things we need to see in this Michael movie in 2026.
As we approach the April 24th, 2026 release of Lionsgate's Michael, the film has already become a lightning rod for expert speculation and box office debate. With a
Lightning rod for sure. I got a lot of content on this channel, so if you are interested in the movie, check out all of the playlists that I have for this movie. Um, Probably close to 20 videos at this point that I've dropped covering this movie. So yeah, if you are interested, this is a good place to check out and watch videos and binge. Just watch all of them. Hit that like button while you're watching them too.
staggering 3.5 hour runtime and a record breaking trailer, this is more than just a movie. It is a global event.
That's a first to me. Is it really a 3.5 hour runtime? I don't know if that's true or not. I'm gonna have to look that up. You guys let me know in the comments below if that's true. If so, that is a lot. That's a lot. And I mean, like, I've seen a lot of movies. I can't think of many movies that I've seen that have a 3.5 hour runtime. For some reason, I do not think that's true. That maybe half of that, maybe a little bit more than 2 hours. I can't imagine it's 3.5 hours. So yeah, if maybe I'm wrong though, let me know.
The real mystery lies in how director Antoine Fuqua will navigate the most complex life story in pop culture history. Here are the top 5 most anticipated plot points. Number 5. The Motown origins and Joe Jackson's discipline. The film
Of course, we had to touch on the Joe Jackson stuff. And if you are a fan of the channel and you've watched my content before, you know that I believe that there is going to be a more nuanced portrayal of Joe Jackson in this movie. I don't think that he's going to be straight up a villain like he has been portrayed in other movies. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how that part comes across because I don't think that he was a 100% horrible man. I think that he was a disciplinarian and he probably did some things that are considered unsavory and that I would never do with my kids. But I know that men and especially black men at that time, and just men in general of that time period, disciplined and dealt with their children in a different manner than the way people do now. So, what some people would probably cringe at now was relatively more accepted back then. Like I said, that's not the way that I would raise my children, and it's not the way that I raise my daughters right now. But I kind of understand that it was a different time then. So that doesn't mean that he didn't jump over the line and probably do too much at many points in time. But like I said, I hope that there's more of a nuanced portrayal of Joe Jackson in this film.
is set to open with a deep dive into the 1960s Gary, Indiana era, focusing on the formation of the Jackson 5 under the watchful and often controversial eye of Joe Jackson.
I wonder how much of the Jackson 5 era we're going to get, especially that Motown era, because it seems as though you get a lot of just from the trailer, it makes it look like it's more of a montage. And usually, if it's a montage, it's just going to be, sort of a quick covering of that era. And I hope that we get a little bit more of a deep dive and be able to see more of what made Michael and what molded Michael into what he was as his life continued on.
With Academy Award nominee Coleman Domingo stepping into the role
Great
of the
actor
family
too. I love
patriarch,
Coleman Domingo.
we
Loved
expect
him
a plot that
on
explores the duality of Joe's
Euphoria too.
influence,
Great movie.
specifically how his relentless discipline served as both the catalyst for Michael's perfectionism and the source of his lifelong trauma. Expert speculation suggests these early scenes will set the emotional stakes for the rest of the film, portraying Michael's childhood as a high-pressure boot camp for superstardom.
Yeah, I think that that's probably a good description of it. And like I said previously, I wonder how far past that line they're willing to go and willing to show from Michael's childhood. Of course, this is authorized by the family. The family is okay with this movie, and I should say the family in general. Jermaine is okay with it. Marlon's okay with it. So yeah, I know that Janet does have some issues with it. From what I understand, Paris has some issues with it. Go check out previous videos that I dropped that cover both of those topics. But yeah, I'm interested to see if there is a more positive portrayal of Joseph after this point in time.
Number 4. The determination behind the thriller revolution. A major narrative arc follows Michael's transition from a successful solo artist to a global phenomenon during the early 1980s. Following the perceived Grammy snubs of the off-the-wall era, the plot is expected to center on Michael's obsessive drive to create an undeniable masterpiece.
Yeah, and it's funny how and I mean I shouldn't say it's funny. I should say it's typical that, having that sort of snub is something that drove him to making the greatest album of all time. Off the Wall was a great album, and knowing that it didn't get the I mean it was very popular, but it didn't get the critical acclaim that he was desiring and the acceptance, that he was desiring, and that's sort of what drove him to make Thriller as good as what it was. And knowing that those disappointments didn't, ruminate in him so much that he just, said, oh, I'm not good at this, oh, I'm not going to do it. It drove him to making the greatest album of all time.
This segment will likely focus on his groundbreaking partnership with Quincy Jones and the tactical business moves, such as the acquisition of the Beatles' publishing catalog, that transformed him into a power player in an industry still struggling with.
And a lot of people say that the him acquiring that Beatles catalog is one of the things that led to his downfall. Now that might be a conspiracy theory, but there are a lot of people who believe that, and that him having that catalog and receiving the money from pretty much everything that the Beatles have ever made at that point in time caused some of the issues that he ended up dealing with later on in his life.
Racial barriers. Number 3. The 1984 Pepsi accident.
Now, this is one thing that I assumed was going to be in this, because there's a part during one of the trailers that show him walking down those steps, and if anybody knows knows those steps and know his life, know that what ended up happening, and that those lights ended up breaking and catching his highly processed hair on fire. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that sort of affected him. I think they covered it a little bit in the American Dream, the Jackson movie that came out in the 90s, but it wasn't a huge part of the film. So it'll be interesting to see how they end up covering it in a more modern take.
Film historians and MJ experts often point to the 1984 Pepsi commercial accident as the moment the King of Pop era took a dark turn. The biopic is rumored to treat this pyrotechnic disaster as a pivotal plot point that shifts the tone of the movie from triumph to struggle. This scene is expected to be the bridge into Michael's battle with chronic pain and his increasing isolation, marking the physical and psychological toll that fame began to take on him at the height of his powers.
And also, too, later on in his life, he did have it was believed that he had a opioid addiction. And I would have to think that that probably started and stemmed from this accident, and him learning to cope with the accident by taking those drugs. And later on in life, going back to reaching to those drugs in order to cope and deal with the stress and the lack of sleep and the different anxiety that he had, as his life took a darker turn later on. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that beginning sort of the start of that spiral downhill.
Number 2. The legal maze of the 1990s and the third act mystery.
Yeah, now this is what I want to know. I'm very interested to see where the film ends, and if I kind of think that the film is going to end on a high note, and then I think that the next movie, if it is indeed going to be broken up into two movies, I think the next movie is going to deal with the later aspects of his life, including all of these legal allegations, and a lot of the drama that involved, several lawsuits that were placed against him.
One of the most debated aspects of the production is how it handles the 1993 allegations and subsequent legal battles. Expert plot speculation has been fueled by news of extensive reshoots in late 2025, which were reportedly triggered by legal agreements preventing the direct dramatization of certain accusers.
Yeah, now that's interesting too because this is like we said it's been approved by the family. The family is wholeheartedly behind this. I can't imagine that they would have something in here that would be very 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 unsavory and paint Michael in a really bad light. So I just wonder how they're able to sort of gracefully discuss these things that were a huge part of his life and a huge moment in the lives of many people who followed him. I don't know if you're able to do that in a way that's going to come across in a super positive light, but I'm assuming that they were able to do that, or at least they talk about it, they're going to deal with it, and they're still going to be able to end the movie on a relatively high note.
The film is expected to focus on the 2005 trial as a central climax. How the script balances the estate's involvement with the public's demand for an unbiased story remains the ultimate test for the film's credibility. And
Hmm.
finally, number one, his final days.
Now, yeah, I'm guessing this video is older. Let me look real quick. This movie, okay, this was only dropped a month ago. So yeah, I don't think that the information that they have or that they're working with, and obviously this is another AI video where you have an AI narrator, but the information that they're gathering and the way that they're speaking about this movie is before they knew about the sort of split in how the movie was going to turn into two movies. And yeah, I don't think that this is accurate as far as that's concerned. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near his final days. I think that we're going to get to right past the height of his career during the Thriller era, and then I think the movie's going to end. Just my guess, it's going to end with the Bad era starting. So, and then we're going to pick it up with the second film, as he jumps into the development of Bad. So, at least that's what I would think. That's what I would think would be a really cool place to start or to stop, and that you would have the Jackson 5 era, and then you do the Off the Wall era, and then you do the Thriller era, and sort of end it right there, and then you can sort of get into the bad era in the next film, and that's where you start things off.
The movie is confirmed to trace Michael's journey all the way to his final days in 2009. This concluding plot point is expected to center on the rehearsals for the This Is It residency at London's O2 Arena. By focusing on his final creative bursts and his desire for a final curtain call for his children, the film aims to end on an emotional, humanizing note. This act will likely serve as the definitive closing to the story, showing the man behind the myth right before his untimely passing. Whether Michael becomes a
Yeah,
billion
I don't
dollar
think we're going to
hit
get that in
or a
this film.
subject of intense controversy, it is undeniably the must watch film of 2026.
Now that's one thing that I have to agree with it. This is definitely a must watch film. It's if you're watching this video and you made it all the way through here, it's a must watch for you too because we're hardcore, we're diehard fans on this channel, so I cannot wait for this to come out. Like I said earlier, I have tons of content on Michael, and you can just go and check out. Just subscribe to the channel first off, because we don't just talk about Michael, and we talk about tons of other movies. We do trailer reactions. We do TV show watch alongs, watch parties for all of your favorite shows. But we have covered the Michael movie like a blanket on this channel. And pun intended, blanket. Yeah. But yeah, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop those comments, and just know that Watch Stuff with Us will be in the mix in 2026. And my name is JD, and I will see you when I see you. Peace and love.